Welcome to Jagged Edge. Intro be damned. Mia, Brian, you're here. What the heck just happened?
Hey there. First things first, as I reported on 1010XL 92.5 FM, as well as on our video and social media channels yesterday morning. So that was Monday, October 31st. I was told on late Sunday night, as the Jaguars were making their way across the pond back from London, that the Jaguars were expected to be buyers at the NFL trade deadline. And I know that shocked most people following their 21-17 loss to the Denver Broncos on Sunday. But that was what I was told. And aside from the Kansas City Chiefs reaching out about potentially acquiring Josh Allen, no other team had really reached out to the Jaguars about acquiring any of their players and having a fire sale of any sort, aside from the obvious with James Robinson that we already know, which was partially done because of Breece Hall's season-ending ACL tear. So what I reported Monday, obviously now in hindsight, looks to be very, very true. But in the moment, I can tell you that I was told yesterday morning, and it was reiterated again to me this morning, that the Jaguars were actively looking for pass catchers. If not for this season and this trade deadline by 4 o'clock today, then this offseason. And obviously now, knowing the news that the Jaguars have officially acquired Calvin Ridley from the Atlanta Falcons, who is ineligible to play the remainder of this season. This obviously is a move that was done by Tuesday, but affects the Jaguars next season. And so, yeah, probably, oh God, to your point about like how you just woke up, John, and you're like, what the heck happened? My show here on 1010XL 92.5 FM, catch it weekdays, 12 to 3.
Please do. Please
Stream
do.
the app, stream the app. We went on the air at noon. I got a text around 12:30 saying like things are happening. And I had been told this morning at 9:45 that like conversations are being had in Doug's office. And so I was told that around 12:45. And then around 1:45, it was revealed to me, and I cryptically then tweeted out about the mind blown. It was revealed to me who the player was. Yeah, try doing a radio show knowing that one.
Oh my
But
goodness.
then it got to a point, not to get too inside baseball here, where I had a lot of people around the league texting me, and a lot of people within the organization unsolicited texting me to be like, "Hey, I just heard. Is this what you heard?" And I was like, "Yeah, it is." And so that was when we were like, "All right, let's go ahead and get the ball rolling here." And apparently ESPN thinks I work at XL10 radio. So you can start
Oh,
calling me now that. But I appreciate the good folks at CBS Sports and Dov Kleiman who all made sure that I got the credit. I appreciate that. But yes, thank you to all those good folks who were very upset about XL10. But it's all right. They got it right on the TV. So, and my mom, who doesn't have Twitter, texted me that someone sent her a screenshot. So somebody else got it right too. Oh, shout out to Florio. That's good. Respect the brand.
my God, Mia. Like,
So yeah, that's what
this
you
is
missed while you were
just,
sleeping, John. Ironically, I went into your Wawa yesterday briefly and you weren't there.
yeah. I worked overnight last night. Legit
Yeah,
had
so
the
I missed
worst.
you. I
I
was there
had,
at like 5:20 yesterday because John Alba challenged me to drinking an iced tea pint gallon, whatever it's called, in
oh,
under an hour. So
and
my body was
under,
in pain last night, but now the Jaguars have Calvin Ridley, so hopefully it feels a little bit better.
oh my goodness. I mean, what just, it just happened all so fast. I mean, it just looks the outlook for the Jaguars, even in 2023. We don't even know. So my big brain theory right now, there's always going to be an X wide receiver that asks out in March or
Correct.
April.
Correct.
Something makes me believe that the Jaguars should still be adding established weapons around Trevor Lawrence because, so yes, there's a lot of criticism on Trevor last Sunday in London with the two interceptions, but I still feel like they can do even more. But I mean, this is like way too far in hindsight. What makes the Jaguars not even go even bigger for the future surrounding Trevor Lawrence
Hell,
with another
after
receiver?
watching Monday Night Football, right? After watching Monday Night Football last night, and knowing that the Cincinnati Bengals are going to be facing tough conversations with regards to paying Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Burrow in the next few years. And then also knowing their offensive line remains atrocious, as we saw last night in front of a national TV audience. Hell, there was part of me that woke up this morning and thought, well, if Jamar wasn't hurt, what would really stop the Jaguars from just putting in a call and saying, would you like Jawan Taylor on an expiring deal? Or even Walker Little? Would you like one of them in favor of giving us T. Higgins? And we'll also throw in a second round pick, which obviously now we know the compensation for the Calvin Ridley trade. And what's incredible about it and why it is so low risk, high reward is because the Jaguars still have their first round pick in 2023. They still have their second round pick in 2023. If all goes well, They won't have their second round pick in 2024. But at that point, the hope would be that you're established and you're competing. So do you really need that second round pick after all? And so that's where I totally agree with you, John. And that is something that in the last 3 weeks, I have firmly moved into the camp of knowing Doug and Trent's respective history when it comes to drafting wide receivers, and also seeing for all these comparisons that compare Trevor's development to Josh Allen, Tua Tagovailoa's development compared to Trevor's. You want to know why they jumped into contention? Why those two made the jump? It wasn't
Oh,
because
let
of
me
the wide.
answer this. Let me answer this.
Go
They
for it, John.
got
You answer it.
dogs at wide receiver.
Not just dogs. They got fully formed dogs. They did not draft puppies. That's the thing,
Exactly.
John. That's the thing. And to which they both did, because I do want to make note, because obviously the Dolphins drafted Jalen Waddle, who is averaging 17 yards per catch right now, which is astronomical.
Sorry on
And
fantasy
then
this Sunday.
yes,
Yeah, you
it's,
had
you
to
know what? It's
feel
okay.
his
I
wrath.
forgive you. I forgive you.
I'm sorry.
But they had Jalen Waddle, just like the Bills had Gabe Davis and Isaiah McKenzie. But what took them over the top? Drafting for a wide receiver who was already a top 10 or top 20 wide receiver in the National Football League, in Stephon Diggs and in Tyreek Hill. And now we're even seeing it with AJ Brown in Philadelphia. And so that's the prime example, because obviously Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith had a relationship because they played in college together. You have Devonta who's developing, but it helps when your number one wide receiver, this young rookie first rounder, is developing, but they can do so with the comfort of having a veteran right there who is the guy. They don't have to be the guy week in and week out. And hell, you kind of see that with the Cincinnati Bengals right now, although in the reverse, in that you have Jamar Chase and you have T. Higgins, a first and a second round pick, granted, but it takes a little bit of pressure away. And I saw our good friend John Shipley of Sports Illustrated tweeted it earlier. It takes away the pressure from Christian Kirk. He doesn't have to be the number one guy. Although I can confirm to you that he stepped up in a big way post London loss. He was very vocal in the Jaguars locker room, and I think they do need that.
Yeah.
But this will be good because it takes away a little bit of that pressure. It also distributes it evenly, and quite frankly, it'll also distribute the coverage. He's not going to be double and triple teams. Zay Jones is not going to be double and triple teams. So even if they double and triple team Calvin Ridley, or if they also trade for, if a Justin Jefferson is disgruntled, which right now seems like it won't happen because he's 6-1 with the Vikings, but I don't know.
You never know. I mean,
This
Debo
opens up.
Samuel still wanted out last year. Yeah, Tyreek Hill wanted out.
Tyreek Hill went to an AFC Championship game and still want. T. Higgins could want out. Him and Trevor could want to reunite and do what they did at Clemson with Travis Etienne as well. So when those players become available, now you're creating more of a mismatch. And from the get-go, and I know most of us don't believe it, and there are many people who don't believe it will ever come to fruition, Doug Pederson came back as an NFL head coach for the same reason his mentor came back as an NFL head coach. Andy Reid came back to build the Chiefs. Doug Pederson came back to rebuild the Chiefs in Jacksonville. I know it sounds weird. I don't believe it sometimes either, but that has been his goal from the get-go. That is why he sat on the podium when he was introduced and said, this is not an overnight fix, because it was never going to be an overnight fix. Because even in Kansas City, it was not an overnight fix before they drafted Patrick Mahomes and Alex Smith played that first year. But even those 2-3 years before Alex Smith, they were slowly acquiring those pieces. Tyreek Hill was a punt returner. He was an afterthought because of all the transgressions that occurred in college. They gave him 2-3 years to develop, and then they added Patrick, and then they gave him 2 more years to develop. And that is what they are looking for here in Jacksonville.
Everything just happens so fast. I mean, try to help the quarterback out as much as possible. I've been telling that to people that have been questioning Trevor over the past few weeks. Yes, the mistakes are bad, but if you give him
comment.
the dogs,
Can I comment on that just
yeah,
briefly?
please do. Please do.
Listen, it's frustrating trying to fit a circle peg into a square hole, or vice versa. I totally get that. I don't think it's Doug being stubborn. It's Doug saying to the kid, this is what you're going to be doing when we're competing in 2-3 years. So this is what you're doing now. And I know it's frustrating as hell. But unfortunately, like this is the hand that you've been dealt. And so this is how he wants him to learn. And moreover, and this is, in my opinion, even more so than just the fact that their offense is 66% passing and 33% running. It's the fact that how many reads did Trevor really have to make at Clemson?
Yeah, not at all.
Not a lot. And so that is why Doug Pederson is so okay with taking your lumps this year, because he wants the kid to learn how to read a defense. Because I can tell you this from talking to multiple people in the building. They got here, this staff got here, and this team didn't know how to practice, let alone watch film. They didn't know how to practice. So like, yes, that was told to me by multiple people. So listen, that's why this was not an overnight fix, and it's not going to be. And so, yeah. So you know what? Yeah, Trent Baalke's here for the long haul. It is what it is. I waved a white flag. I give him credit. It's a good deal. It's a good deal because it's low risk, high reward. If things don't work out with Calvin Ridley, what do you give? At worst, it's a 6th-round pick.
You
Okay,
know,
you have a million of those. He's stockpiling them to build the Horcrux anyway, so who cares? And the second more realistic worst, it's a 5th and a 3rd or a 5th and a 4th. Who cares
yeah.
at that
Who
point?
cares?
You have
It's
so
the
many
day
draft
3
picks.
picks. And if you give him long term cut, day second round, not even a first round pick for a guy who's produced so much with geriatric ass Matt Ryan at quarterback.
In 2020, Calvin Ridley was he had the second most 30+ yard downfield targets in the National Football League.
And Trevor needs that
It's all
downfield
you need to
target.
know. Trevor Lawrence is dying to throw that ball. He doesn't have anyone to throw it to. So what do I think this means for the Jaguars wide receiving room long term? So Marvin Jones is in the last year of his contract, so I think they will say goodbye to Marvin. What I'm most interested by, knowing that Zay Jones and Christian Kirk are under contract each for at least one more year, technically 2 more
Yeah.
years each. What I am most interested by, John, is do they opt to develop the Tim Jones project, the Kendrick Pryor project, or to your point, do they also go out and make
And
another
get
deal?
one. They still have their
One more
first
to
round
take you
pick.
over the top. And
Yeah.
so then my question is, do you draft that wide receiver or do you trade for him? Like I said off the top, I am more in the trade camp because I believe they have a lot of needs right now. And knowing Doug and Trent's resume when it comes to drafting wide receivers
Just
and
go.
somehow, some
Yeah.
way, always picking the wrong one, I would trade for the more established commodity right now. And then I would go corner in the first round. Quite frankly, Tyson Campbell is playing at an elite level right now with Shaq Griffin on the injured reserve. He's finally trailing the number 1 wide receiver. He was in coverage of Cortland Sutton on 74% of Cortland's snaps on Sunday, and he allowed him 1/2 yard of receiving yards when he was in coverage. So yeah, he's good. Trust me when I say he's good. Once he turns his head around, he's
Also a
fine.
dog. Also a
Yes,
dog.
dog.
Tyson's a
Right.
dog.
Very damn good dog. So if you get another, hell, you may grab his old dog buddy, Keely Ringo, in the first round for all I
Mm.
know, or you go grab Jalen Carter and you rebuild the Georgia defensive line here in Jacksonville. And then you have the Clemson offense. I don't know. Both of those have been pretty darn good the last few years. So I would be okay with either. And so that's what I think by trading for Calvin Ridley today, by potentially trading for another wide receiver this offseason, you open up the door to use your remaining draft capital to fill those other needs on defense. And then you're building a young defense right alongside Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma, Trayvon Walker. And then that young defensive core can be together for years to come. Tyson Campbell, Andre Cisco. And I think that is equally as critical.
I want to bring it up. So we talked about Balky being here for a long time. It was Halloween yesterday for overnight work. It was hell on earth. I actually brought back the wig for work because I couldn't find my Friday the 13th mask.
I
And
love
Balky
it.
goes in and does this. Like,
Well, listen, he traded my friend on my birthday last week. So, I
yeah.
mean, I was like, is this a bit? I will say this, as you know, John, my zodiac and my horoscope have not been ideal the month of October, which was my birthday month. But we're looking pretty good
New
here on November
day,
1.
first day. And
Listen, the Jags always win off the field. They're winning off the field again today.
we brought the off season to November trade deadline. I mean, it was like an NBA trade deadline today, wasn't it? Like
Honestly, yeah. And that was what was awesome. Like so my first official day full time at 1010 wasn't until April, but I actually had to fill in the day of the NFL free agency opening back in March. And so that's what today felt like. And like, I
yeah.
love those types of shows because you're like constantly like, and like, especially in someone in my position where I'm like breaking news, but I'm also monitoring and hosting news. So like, I'm seeing things pop. I'm seeing Bradley Chubb, but oh, wait. Chase Edmonds is included in that deal. Chase Claypool, I know you're all upset Jaguar fans, but all simultaneous to that, I'm also getting the text about obviously the big bombshell here in Jacksonville. And so these are the best days because, we're just hanging out and then I get to talk to fun people like you. And at
Oh.
some point or another, I will text back all of our friends that have texted me today to let me know that either they're excited about Calvin Ridley or why the hell would you trade for a guy who's not going to play? Yes, I know you're a Georgia fan and you're still salty about Calvin Ridley. It's fine.
Hey man, just let it hang. Just hey,
Like,
I
tell me
got
you're a
this.
Georgia
I
fan without
got
telling me
this.
you're a Georgia fan. Like,
Yeah.
come on, man. I'm not saying the kid's going to save the offense, but what I'm saying is at the very least, you finally have an ex wide receiver.
That's what
But
we've been asking for since we are started this 5-game losing streak, playing the same game
we
5 weeks in
asked
a
for it
row.
in the off season. No one
Yeah.
would give it to
We
us.
yeah, since last year.
You want
You're
to know
right.
how you
Since
avoid the
last
red
year.
zone issues that the Jaguars are having, John? You avoid it by having a dude who you can chuck a 40-yard go route to and throw a bomb to, and
And
he
he'll
just
get
runs
open.
in for 45. That's how you do this.
And the fact that he's excited posting photoshops,
Oh,
just
yeah.
saying Duval, like, oh, this dude is bought in. He sees
Yeah, and
it.
it's funny
He
because I
sees
may or
it.
may not have had a couple other people tell me, like, up here in Atlanta, we didn't know if he was going to play again.
And then he's like, yeah, let's go. I got a new start.
Didn't that happen? That happened somewhere else, I feel like recently. Who was? Oh, it was Kadarius.
Yeah.
The hamstring's fine. We're great.
Oh man. I mean, reverse Jalen Ramsey. Hopefully that also
Oh,
brings us a ring.
him
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's the real. We want that because obviously Jalen is still playing at an all-pro level. Kadarius Toney remains to be seen.
Yeah, exactly. We want more of the Jalen Ramsey all pro level that Calvin did produce in Atlanta with a Matt
Yes.
Ryan type in
The
Atlanta. And
geriatric Matt Ryan.
geriatric Matt Ryan.
And so I do
But
want to make clear, since I know a lot of folks are wondering about this, and we didn't really specify this on our social media platforms for 1010,
go for it.
because Calvin Ridley is suspended this entire year. This would have been his 5th year of his rookie deal because they had picked up the 5th year option in 2020 because he was drafted in 2018. So 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. He got hurt, got caught gambling, but they had picked up the 5th year option. That 5th year option that he would have been playing on this year is deferred to 2023, which would be his first season with the Jaguars. And then it would be on the Jaguars to establish a long-term agreement with the 27-year-old wide receiver. But they're not on the books for anything as of right now. And it doesn't sound like they're going to have to pay the 5th year option. At least as of this writing, it does not sound like they're on the books for it. The Falcons will be paying it.
Oh, Jesus. So they are paying the Jaguars to take him off their backs, basically.
And they got a 5th and potentially
And
a second.
second at the best when they hopefully extend him in March.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. What else can you say? What else can you say at this point? I mean, we criticized Trent Baalke, but hey, hats off. I can't take it off. Got the headset on, but
There was always a plan.
hats off. I mean,
this is all I asked for, John. Like, people asked me last week, and I was texting people in the building, and I'm like, I just want to know the plan. And they'd be like, to be the Chiefs. I'm like, that is not a plan. Like, I just want to know the plan. Like, what are you doing to get there? And it was like, and again, like I said, I had people in the front office in September when I brought up, you need another X receiver, look at me and be like, no, we don't. I was
like, no, yeah, please. Yeah, no, it's been frustrating for you. It's been frustrating for me. And I'm pretty sure it's been frustrating for a lot of Jaguar fans. But step 1 complete. Great. We still got 11 games, not even 11.
9 more games to go.
9
You
more
also
games to play.
Yeah, you also are going to have 3 of your 4 tight ends not here, presumably, or at least not on the books as of this writing for next year. That's why, depending where the Jaguars select, if they're picking in the top 10, if this thing continues to spiral, then you're looking at Jalen Carter, Keely Ringo, Joey Porter Jr. out of Penn State. You're looking at those guys, Will Anderson, trading the pick, getting more picks. I think you're looking defense. If they slip into the 10 to 20 range or beyond, that is where it gets interesting, because that is where, do they potentially take a wide receiver? Yes. But also, I can tell you this, they have already identified tight end as a need. They have already been talking about the need for their Kelsey. And the top rated tight end as of this writing, Brock Bowers, is not not NFL eligible, not eligible yet to enter the NFL draft. Sorry, America.
Sad.
Is Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame, who I watched him the other day. He looks slow as crap, but he's got good hands and he wears the number 87. So I just think of Gronk, and I just think, oh, okay, cool. He's slow, but he gets where he needs to go. So yeah, if they go to the 10 to 20 range, way too early prediction. Yeah. Yeah. Unless they go corner, which it is a very deep corner class.
Yeah,
and it is
I would
not
wait.
as deep at the wide receiver position. All the more reason, in my opinion, to be trading for the wide receiver.
Yeah. I still feel like I feel like that should be the plan. If history shows it over the past couple of years, there's going to be another X wide receiver that will ask for out. Just give Trevor all the help you need. Give him no excuses. Give him that talk
Tua,
about a
give him
little
the Tua
offense.
deal.
Yeah,
Give him the
yeah,
Tua deal because guess what? The Miami Dolphins traded their first round pick today. And that basically says we're in with Tua. We don't need to pick a quarterback again. We're good.
yeah. And guess what? That gives him all the confidence in the world. All
A
right,
year
let me
ago, we
swing
would
the
not be
football.
having that conversation when they had just lost to the Jaguars in London.
Exactly. And now look, it gave him the two fastest wide receivers possible on the outside that are getting open almost every play. And at least one of them gets open every play. It's like, oh, well, okay, two is fine. It's like, oh, then what did they do? They gave him dogs. Do the same for Trevor. They didn't have to give up first round pick for Calvin Ridley. Amazing deal. We still
Correct.
got another couple first this year or 2023, 2024.
Right.
Just don't be afraid. Trent, just sling it. Keep slinging it.
Those 6th-round picks are only going to get you a Horcrux, buddy.
Yeah. It'll get you a Tanner Lee and a Gardner Minshew at this point. So okay. That's what the Jaguars gave up today. Jaguar fans. They gave up a Tanner Lee.
But if you ask our listeners, a bunch of them want Minshew back. So
well, we'll avoid the Minshew. I want to thank you again for taking about 30 minutes to talk with me today. Busy days for us. UNF plays JU in men's soccer. I'm a big men's soccer guy on campus. I gotta be there today. I know you got a show at 6:00 today. Go ahead and plug it in if you want to. Can you hear me, Mia? Oh no. What is going on? This is the beauty of being live. Mia has been lost. I just want to thank y'all again for listening to this emergency podcast.
Hold
of
on,
the
my internet.
Ooh.
We're back. We're back. We're back, John.
Hey.
Sorry.
Here?
We're a radio station that the internet doesn't work at. But yes, I unfortunately will not be at the JU UNF men's soccer game because I do have to host a show, Helmets and Heels, 6 p.m. on XL 95 FM.
Thank you again, Mia. It was starting off so well, and then it fell apart. It's like the Jaguars. It's just like a typical Jacksonville Jaguars fourth quarter. But yes, Mia. Thank you again. You have a good rest of your day, and goodbye.
Bye, friend.
Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose on Sunday. This is why Mia's back. Good luck for Sunday. The only time we've won when I started the show is when she's on. That's why I had her on. Yeah,
thanks,
go Jaguars. Bye. Thank you, Mia.
Bye.